So record has been launched and we are welcoming Naomi. Today on the specific focus, we will have one topic from the GitOps workload lifecycle management, and Morgan, you will manage this focus session. And another topics following our GitOps GUI and API management with Kunai. It's another proposal. Before managing those proposals to the TSC, we will have an update from the different work group. So Mark or Matthew, if you can give some updates on the work group one. Yeah, Matthew.
Sure. Can you refresh the
page?
The
magic button.
Hopefully it will be available. No, it's not. Sorry, probably strange. Anyway, nothing special to announce. We keep working on Sylva v1.2. As a reminder, the last release date is the 8th of November. And for that, we consider telling everyone that we will enter a feature freeze period by the 23rd of October. Hopefully everything is okay. Everyone is okay with that date. I talked about that yesterday during the work group one meeting, but at Telecom Italia, you were not attending this meeting. So hopefully it's okay for you, meaning that the 23rd of October, we will stop working on new features and we will work on stabilizing the stack for delivering it as soon as the CI is green. If it's an issue for you, please come back to me. Something that happened also is a discussion with Dutch Telecom for them to share their way of working with the life cycle of workload cluster, especially in order to discuss about the potential alignment. So this is ongoing, and we will keep discussing in the future for Dutch Telecom to get aligned with what we are doing at Sylva, and the opposite too. And just something that we also are considering is that in Sylva v1.2 we merge the capacity to deploy and to be compatible with Kubernetes 1.29, but 1.29 is going to be out of support very soon, beginning of next year. So what we consider now is to release Sylva v1.3 very soon after the Sylva v1.2, so probably in December, to bring support for Kubernetes 1.30. To have a Sylva stack with a longer period of support. So this is a plan. Does it seem reasonable to all of you, or we will then probably postpone some features that we were considering for v1.3 in January to the next v1.4 release, because this v1.3 will be delivered earlier, but it will really be about supporting Kubernetes 1.30.
So for next TSC, we'll prepare a roadmap update, Matthew, with this one.
Indeed.
The 1.3 earlier in the timing. Okay. Any other feedback to Matthew? Matthew, you ask especially Telecom Italia if they are okay with some elements, because you have probably some deployment, so don't hesitate to.
I think is okay, but I will check with Federico and the others.
Okay.
As the point is really to tell us if you need some feature in the stack that are not already merged.
Okay.
Because of this feature freeze period. If you need some features, we need to focus on reviewing them before entering the feature freeze period.
Okay.
So that's still a room for negotiation, but be quick. Any other feedback? No. Thanks all. Thank you, Matthew. And don't hesitate to fill the minutes at the end of this meeting. On the work group 2, Luis, you're on board.
Hello, how are you? Okay, so since the last 2 weeks, since the last meeting, we had added 2 new workloads to the backlog that are being run right now in, well, we added 1 2 weeks ago and 2 more now, that these are being run in the Orange platform and Orange 2 and Orange 3. Some of them were already pre-validated, so we understand this could be very fast. And additionally, we have another one in the workload that we have already started to work on. Okay, that's one thing. And the second thing is the deployment of the second validation platform, the one that included the support for the SRIOB. Finally, we did it. So after many months working on this, we have been able to configure SRIOB on an OpenStack IaaS and make it available to Sylva, and then configure Sylva with this capability so that we can deploy workloads that require SRIOB over not only bare metal but also an IaaS Sylva. We are now writing some documentation to provide to the working group 1 to help incorporate the things that are needed to allow this configuration. So this is a good progress finally.
Wait, I don't remember. Was it a canonical OpenStack or Red Hat OpenStack? I don't remember.
It is the canonical. We are now doing it also in the Red Hat because we are building a third platform. Okay.
So you can replicate this tuning for
based
the
on
Red
a
Hat
canonical one.
Okay.
Yeah. And
okay.
Then,
So
yes.
Just on that feature, it means that if you can provide the way you did it.
Yes, we are documenting
quickly for us to consider if we make it available with v1.2 or not. But does it come with some code in Sylva Core? Because
no, it's just a configuration thing. We are documenting that.
Yeah, please. Very interesting. Thank you.
Okay. So, and then things that we want to do in the next weeks ahead, complete the 3 workloads that we have in the backlog. We want to actually do one more thing, revalidate one requiring SRIOB in this new platform, just to confirm that everything is okay. We are also deploying a new validation management platform. So, with the support from Nearby, we created this management platform where we deploy from there, we deploy the workloads, and we have also a cloud shell that allow us to run directly from this platform the commands to confirm that it has been deployed. We are already incorporating that. So next validations that we are doing are going to in the Telefonica platform and using this so that we can confirm that it can be more or less automated, the process. We will let you know to the other platforms how this works once we confirm it is actually useful. Okay, because we did a proof of concept, but now we want to actually run it. And we have started to investigate how to incorporate a new element to test in the validation cycle, which is platform upgrade without service impact. So once we have deployed the network workload and validated that the workload is properly deployed, we want to also change the Kubernetes version underneath and confirm that the workload is still there and has been designed in a way that allows this. So we are starting just to see how to incorporate that in the validation cycle. And nothing relevant to share apart from the fact that we have finally deployed this new platform and no decisions expected today. That's all.
Any question to Luis? Or info on some topics? No? Okay. So concerning workgroup 3, Mihai, are you on the call?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
I'm here. Okay, so for workgroup 3, there is not that much of an update. We've been working on the UCS analysis. We are almost ready. We have only 25 more requirements remaining. So in, I would say, 2 or 3 meetings, we might be able to finalize all of this analysis, which is a big thing for us. Yeah, and probably we will celebrate with a beer at the end of the last meeting of the requirements, because it took almost a year, more than a year, to do this analysis, and we are close to the end. Yeah, and apart from this, we didn't receive any new feedback from the operators or vendors regarding the guidelines. Only Huawei and ZTE have provided their feedback until now. And I hope that by the end of the week, we will get more reactions from the vendor side on the guidelines to be able to organize a meeting with everybody. And that's all.
Thank you, Mihai. On this part, I don't know, on Ericsson's side and Nokia side, if you can help us, Uni and Norbert. We think that this security, the CNF security guideline can be a first step in sharing some guideline that we can share for all the CNF, and we think it's important in the horizontal cloud strategy to have such baseline in terms of security. So if you can relay within your companies, and we will be very supportive from your feedback.
Yes. So best is to do a review, right, of the work once it is sort of finalized in its first release. Yeah.
That's the plan. So the idea is that firstly we'll collect feedback written, and then based on all the feedback which is aggregated from all of the vendors, we will compile and we will do a meeting to review it all together. But the initial idea is that it's good to have each vendor provide their feedback individually, because maybe there are some things that they are sensitive and they do not want to share with everybody. So this is why we went for this approach.
Mm-hmm.
And this release is really the baseline. So if you have some topics, we are glad to study it. The aim is to have a first baseline, and then incrementally, of course, we want to go tougher in terms of security, but having a first shared view on this can be useful for all.
Sure.
Mihai, you can expect a couple of comments from Nokia later this week before the deadline. Nothing major, but some comments, yes.
Perfect. All feedback is welcome.
But having a feedback is even if it's minor comments, it means that there are no blocking point or something like this. We are in appropriate direction. So thanks for these future feedbacks. Okay, any other questions to Mihai and his large working group 3 team? No? Thanks. Concerning sustainability, we've got Wamin with us.
Thank you, Graham. So for our side, some of the latest things we're still working on is the configuration of the systems, mostly on the server side, how to test different our answers, so we can attribute the platform power. So the current focus is on Redfish. So how to present the Redfish credentials, that's so we can access the credential without violating the security policy rules is top priority. For that, there's currently at least two potential ideas. One is that using the read-only credential, if the vendor can support. The other one is to using the different alternative hardware based on ACPI parameter specification instead of using Redfish. So far, the first approach will be most preferable because as long as we are able to get the read-only Redfish access, then we do not have to worry about the security violations. But that's at the expense of the provisioning side, potentially working with the work group one. The other one, using the ACPI parameter, has some of the hardware dependencies. It really depends on if the hardware vendors that we are using can support that specification. The other ones on the requirements is how we are going to attribute the control plane power consumption. As we all know, the control plane is shared by all the CNF functions. It's not something that we can go without. So the proper partition, the control plane power consumption is also going to be an interesting discussion. There's no magic formula, so we are trying to come up with the best method as possible. For the second project on the green scheduler, we are still waiting for the test results. So far, we heard some of the preliminary results using heterogeneous equipment that shows some of the potential benefits using green scheduler, but the results has to be validated using all kinds of configurations. So we are working on the data models that can eventually support the green dashboard, and that will include certain sources of metrics and certain methodologies. Hopefully that will come up together in the future meetings. Any questions?
Thank you, Ramin. Don't hesitate if you have any questions to Ramin. Okay. So work group 5. I think many participants of work group 5 are actually on stage or at NetworkX event in Paris. So I don't know, Naomi, if you
am here, so
yes, great.
Okay,
Great,
so,
Julie.
yeah, you have to save the day, but Naomi is the best. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm very happy to present you our results. First of all, you mentioned it, Guillaume. We are right now in NetworkX presenting Sylva in various panels, and tomorrow is actually a big day for us because we will have a huge workshop dedicated to Sylva and the relationship between Sylva and Etsy. And so I encourage every participant, every attendees of NetworkX to publish on LinkedIn. I already saw all of your publication. It's working. Thank you very much. We want to continue the promotion, of course. Thanks to Naomi and her team, we want to coordinate better our marketing inside of Linux Foundation, and that's why we will change a little bit how we do things. So this is intern cuisine, yeah, but I just wanted to mention you. Maybe you will see some changes in the future. And we want also to plan our release of our new newsletter. We want to talk about project feature and what is new, the main changes for version 1.2, and we will be supporting this press release thanks to the technical blog. We don't know yet if you want to include the white paper into the press release or wait until December, but we have time for that. Right now, the big events coming, especially in 2025, are the KubeCon and we have to submit our if we want to participate or not. And we have also in plans the Sylva Day similar to Paris, but we need to know where we are going to do it. There is also the Mobile World Congress, FutureNet, and so on. So we have a lot of events to prepare, and this is what the next 2 months of 2024 are for, actually. I think that's all for us, or maybe I'm missing something. Naomi, do you want to add something else?
You did great, Julie. I think that covers everything. As she mentioned, right now we definitely want to promote the not the white paper, but the press release for the upcoming release. So I will be working with a few of you just to start getting that timeline and getting all your content in, so we're not right up into the last hour, coming close to deadlines, etc. Because we definitely want to promote this out far wide. So nope, that's it. Julie, everything covered.
Okay, great.
What a dynamic team. Any questions to Julie and Naomi? No. Many thanks both. Next one is Morgan. Morgan, you have a proposal for this TSC. The floor is yours. You can share.
Thank you, Guillaume. Yes, so I come back to the TSC here. I have a request. So we introduce the possibility to open source some additional Kubernetes add-on to manage CNF LCM on top of Sylva in July. And meanwhile, we start discussion with other telco, and we started sharing our pains and concerns related to the adoption of GitOps from the development to the operation. So historically, we had several sessions with Swisscom, and we met them also in Vienna during the Sylva mini summit. So we start exchanging on different topics, and we would like to extend this sharing session within an official Sylva working group dedicated to CNF LCM management. So it will be a way to invite all the telcos and also the vendors, and because the pains and the feedbacks and the concerns we are sharing can be also interesting for the CNF vendor. So the idea is really to organize that and to be officially in Sylva, just to share the topic we already exchanged and we will continue to work on. We discuss about continuous testing. We discuss about managing the vendor artifact, especially cleaning up the M chart and what are the consequences regarding the responsibility matrix, these kind of things. How we manage multi-platform on the promotion mechanism from I would say a dev Sylva to a pre-prod Sylva to a production Sylva. What can we use? So our colleagues from Swisscom, they share their POC on cargo. We made some tests on Captain a long time ago. So we exchange on that and see what the difficulties we are seeing. For the test, they present what they are doing with TestCube. I know that DT is also using TestCube. We present what we are doing with cross-testing, which is a library developed also in a Linux Foundation project, which is not Cloud native, but it's just a Python library. So this kind of exchange, and yesterday we start discussing about how we structure the GitOps intent of a CNF in order to see if it makes sense to have some guidelines or recommendation and to exchange their model versus our model. We exchange also a lot on the way we are managing the versioning of the CNF within a full GitOps environment. And of course, we are speaking about operation and adoption. So as you can see, there are lots of topics. We plan to keep on meeting once a month, not more, because it's more informative and sharing. Because it's interesting there are so many projects at the same time in the CNCF. We cannot test everything, but sometimes it's interesting to share and get the feedback on some new product. So that's really dedicated to CNF LCM management. So it's complementary regarding the working group 1, which is really dealing with infrastructure. And at our level, we assume that the Sylva is well running, upgrading smoothly, all these things. So we are not speaking about the infrastructure, about the support of a special feature, but really focusing on the CNF, seen from a telco perspective. So the proposal is to create an official working group. So I don't know the number, working group 6 or 7. And for the moment, it will be more a forum discussion, I would say, once a month. We will present the toolbox we already introduced in July. But independently from that, already the discussions make sense, I think. And at least from our perspective, Orange and Swisscom, it makes sense to extend it to other telco. So now it's up to Sylva TC to see if it makes sense and if it's in line with the strategy to onboard and to host such a working group in addition of all the working group you already have, and if it makes sense for you regarding your strategy, if you want to go up to this kind of CNF LCM.
Okay, thank you, Morgan, for your description. Just to before asking the feedback of the members of the TSC. Your initial proposal is at a starting point some sharing elements about GitOps intent, continuous testing, upgrades, and management of different kind of environment with cargo, for example. Is it a first step? Do you intend to have some implementation of reference on some of these topics in a second step? What's your point of view?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can. As I say, we are about to publish some component, but we are not pretending they are good. We would like really to discuss also with DT because we know they have a long experience in production of this kind of thing. So we are not saying that we have the solution, or not at all, but we'll have to discuss, especially when we start discussing about operations. And we'd like to have some kind of reference implementation to address the different pain points we are discussing and we start discussing. That's the idea of this CNF add-ons that we already start publishing on GitLab.com. But of course, it's not in Sylva, it's for the moment in our own space, but for Sylva, we should agree collectively on the community way to if we can have a reference implementation. And I think it could be interesting in the future, especially, so I don't know how the other telco they are doing at the moment, but several times when we start doing GitOps implementation on CNF management, most of the vendors say, okay, we are not ready, or we don't know how to do that. They have their own automation stack. So the idea is to have something that they can use and deploy because it will be open source. And now they can use a GitOps engine, even if they did not develop that inside their automation stack and in their roadmap for the moment, they would have a minimum implementation to do it.
Thanks for your precision. Vuk?
Thanks, Guillaume, and thanks, Morgan, for summarizing it. It's actually true in DT. We have been working on that and using it in production since quite some time and face these issues. So we are definitely looking forward to have this as a platform for discussing this topic. It is hard to separate it because on one side I'm in the part of DT focusing on the platform, on what is current Sylva scope, but immediate question comes afterward, okay, how do I get things running on that? And it's more difficult to separate it than we intuitively think of. That's why it would make sense. We are even moving forward to establish the team that works with all vendors in DT to package and work with the teams who use the application to package the deployment artifacts in a way that is compliant to deploy via GitOps. this initiative here, or the working group, would be a step forward in the direction to harmonize the standards across the telco community, or at least the community that is active here. So I just want to say full support from our side. I will also promote that to the colleagues who would need to be active, because as said, from the platform side, we take it for granted. We deliver the clusters and say, hey, do the things. You have a GitOps enabled, but there is a much more behind the curtain, so to say, from our perspective, and we are not able to let's say, follow that actively. So that's a great opportunity here. Thank you.
Thanks for your feedback. Brooke, is there any other apparatus? We will ask to every members, of course. Don't know who wants to start.
I can start. Well, from our point of view, it's also interesting to open this group for sharing the experiences, and we try to involve our colleagues in the engineering that are dealing with the CNF lifecycle management, and they are definitely interested in sharing information. So we are in favor to create this group.
Have you already given name to Morgan?
Yes, and maybe not all of them. Probably we will add some other colleagues, but some of them are already in the list.
Okay, thanks. Other members? I will ask. Luis?
Yeah, well, I'm running the infrastructure, but I know the people in the network function part, they are interested in knowing how to automate or operate. So we're interested in this working group. I will look for someone that could at least participate, or I don't have a contact name right now that may be interested, but let's start and we will see who can participate.
Okay. Uni?
Yes, for Nokia, it is okay to establish this work group. We can follow, potentially also contribute. I will inform our CNF lifecycle management product team. We have a solution similar for that. So let's see what kind of interworking options we have, etc. But yeah, we are happy to follow and potentially contribute. Yes.
Thanks for the feedback. Nicoletta?
Also fine from our side. We will try to, participate and contribute to this working group.
Okay. Thanks. Norbert?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to do such a thing. I cannot promise at the moment really resources from Ericsson on this one. We have our own automation tools there. But certainly good to get it established, and then let's see that we can find resources for supporting this.
Did I miss one member? I hope no, but please correct me. No? On our own side, of course, we are okay to support this initiative. Thanks, Morgan. And we will be glad to see future results of your sharing session, and then happy to investigate for your future reference implementation of such framework. Important in the cloud native telco transformation, such topic, as mentioned by Book. So go for this new work group, as you choose the name, work group 6. Okay. So for the following topic, perhaps it's you, Laurent, who will introduce the next following subject.
Yes. I will share my screen first. Okay. So thank you, Guillaume, and hello, everyone. I'm Laurent Moinet, and I'm here with François Piebert. We work for Orange Innovation IT department in a team of 6 people. And we collaborate with the Orange Innovation Network on Sylva project, and especially about Kunai, a tool to facilitate the lifecycle management by GitOps. This will be the topic of our presentation, and it should last around 12 minutes. So, what is used for? Kunai is to easily deploy Sylva workload clusters. It's based on GitOps concepts, and it's for integrators or operators and vendors who use Sylva. It's a graphic interface and APIs. We started on it around September 2023. It's still a prototype, but a mature prototype. It's developed with Next.js framework, provided as an name chart. And with Kunai, we can manage RK2 and CubeADM engines like Sylva. And it's compatible with OpenStack and bare metal infrastructures like Sylva today, and more like GCP, Azure, and AWS because we tested it. The key points about Sylva, first of all, Sylva simplifies the Kubernetes deployment and the lifecycle management. As I told you, it's not necessary, in fact, to know Sylva code and the GitOps methodology and KPIs. Kunai bring an industrial model standardized. It brings also reproducibility and reduce the deployment times. In third, it secures the changes because it frames user actions. It better manages the drifts of the configuration and also the remediations. I told you Kunai is GitOps ready. Indeed, because it uses the Sylva methodology. It controls the deployment from the Git, the reference source, and also the forms of the graphic interface are auto-generated from the Git. Kunai is completely transparent for Sylva. There is no impact in the code. It's embedded as an independent and optional unit. And to finish, Kunai is done to facilitate the Sylva adoption because it breaks the complexity of Sylva and it makes accessible to as many people as possible. A little technical overview.
So
Kunai is a graphic.
I can do the technical overview. So
okay, you can do it. Excuse me.
So for the user, they will interact with Kunai using the interface or the API. Then Kunai will manage Flux CD that is embedded in the management cluster and also read the resources to get the status of the management cluster and also the workload clusters. Then Kunai, in the second step, it manages the Git repository with the workload definition, and it will generate those definitions using templates. And with these templates, we have the definition and also the form that we mentioned previously. The third step is that the management cluster will read the Git repository, and there we have the GitOps, in fact. It will reconcile every time. And with this reconciliation, it brings us with the fourth step, which is deploying and managing the workload cluster. And here it will deploy bare metal, OpenStack, and all supported infrastructure by Sylva. So here in this page, if we remove, in fact, Kunai, just the user will need to manage the information in the management cluster and in the Git repository. It's why we can remove also Kunai. It will just mean that the user will be responsible for this action.
So to summarize about the implementation and the impact, what does Kunai do? It initiates the GitOps configuration between the management cluster and a Git repository, as you just saw. We reused the Sylva code, considering all new changes of Sylva. It brings templating. It's very important that the templating to minimize the workload cluster configurations to deploy for users. With that, we can secure and unify the workload cluster deployment, applying by default some production rules inside the templates, like security rules or for the network operability. And we inform users about the cluster configuration and the status of those deployments. To keep in mind, there is no impact in the Sylva code. Kunai is seen like a unit of Sylva. Its usage is optional, and remove Kunai, as François told you, is transparent for the workload lifecycle management. In this case, the content of the Sylva YAML file in the Git will have to be managed by the user himself instead of Kunai. And to begin, I told you that Kunai is a mature prototype. It's because today Kunai is already used by the integration center team of Orange.
Okay, thanks,
So
thanks, Ron. And now we can dive in the demonstration.
Mm-hmm. Go.
So with this demonstration, we will start from login using Keycloak. Keycloak is an authentication component deployed in the management cluster. Once logging, we arrive in the landing page, and we can view all the Git repository that is managed by Kunai. And managed by Kunai means that the Git repository is linked to a management cluster. So we can view this by adding a new Git repository. We need to provide the information of the Git repositories following the information of the management cluster. If we checked and already created Git repository, let's view GitOps Kunai Vidya 5. We have the status of the management clusters. And then we have two Fluxid resources, the Git repository and customization. If the Git repository is a success, it means that the management cluster is able to fetch data from the Git repository. And if customization is success, it means that the reconciliation is completed. Then we can also view the workload cluster that has been created inside this Git repository. Here we only have one. And we can also view the available templates. Here, with this demonstration, we will focus on the OpenStack production one with the version 1.0.3, which is deploying Sylva in the version 1.1.0. So let's create a new workload cluster with OpenStack production. In the middle, we have the form that is, in fact, requesting user all information in order to build a new workload cluster. And on the left, we have the name of this template and also the available version. Here we arrive in a first step where our cluster is in the draft. Draft means that it is created in Git, but not already reconciled in the management cluster. In order to deploy our cluster, we just need to press the deploy action. Now we can see that our cluster is processing. And we can also view the percentage of deployment, which is the number of successful Sylva units. By waiting approximately 25 minutes, we have our OpenStack cluster fully ready. And if we checked the Sylva unit, for example, the core, we can see that it is reconciled on tag 1.1.0. Let's update our workload cluster. So in order to update a workload cluster, we first need to add a new template. So we'll dive in the template section and add a new template. Templates for us are also Git repository. So we need to provide the information of that Git repository with the token. And we will fetch a tag. For this demonstration, we will take the tag 1.0.4. With this new template, we will deploy Sylva with the version 1.1.1. So now, in order to update a workload cluster, we just need to select the edit button. And now on the left, on the right, we have the newly created version, so the 1.0.4. Updating our cluster is as simple as clicking on this new version, because this one only updates Sylva, and we do not provide new fields. So we can see here, the cluster has been in progress, and 25 minutes later, it is fully reconciled. And if we check one of the units, it will be now deployed with the version 1.1.1 of Sylva. Let's view also the API. All the actions that we have performed since the beginning are available also through the API, and these definitions are available in the interface with Swagger API. We can view here all the documentation of all our API, and this Swagger interface can also be used as a test for our API. So here, if I try out the list of Git repository, I will have the list of Git repository and his answer. And this ends the demonstration.
So, Laurent, what is your proposal to the TSC?
Yes. Let me understand why my slide is blocked. Okay. So to conclude our proposition, first of all, we have to know that we are ready to open source Kunai because we received the agreement from the intellectual property team of Orange. We are today under MIT and Apache licenses. And the question finally for you is, first, do you consider that Kunai is conformed with the platformization strategy of Sylva? The second one is, are you okay to host Kunai as a unit of Sylva? Which working mode do we have to adopt if yes? Inside the Sylva workgroup 1, for example, or through a specific management with a synchronization with the Sylva group. Who could be interested to use Kunai? I'm curious in the community. And who would want to contribute about the next evolutions of Kunai?
Any question? We have a first reaction from Matthew.
Not a direct reaction, but yeah, I feel like having this is tightly coupled to the GitHub stories that we are telling in Sylva, and this GitHub story is quite complex. So having a web UI for any newcomer to facilitate the Sylva adoption and the new way of working with GitHub's workflow will bring some values to our project. Anyway, we need to keep discussing with Kunai how to deal with technical details. But it's it's a nice feature for us to have, I think, and I would be glad to host the work being done in Kunai in the workgroup one. I think it makes more sense to me.
Okay.
Thanks for your feedback. Any other feedback or questions before having a roundtable from the members? There was an interesting question. Who can be interested to use Kunai? If there are some users of Sylva that are waiting for such GUI, please raise your hand. Hello.
No, I raised my hand because we are definitely interested. We are working on similar things, and it would be certainly of interest to try to use what you have already done, if feasible.
Okay, with pleasure.
Thank you. Other Sylva user? No? Okay. So to conclude, we may so the proposal, if I rephrase, is to host this initiative within Workgroup 1. This is the proposal to the TSC. Okay, Laurent?
Okay.
Matthew? Okay. So with this proposal, Carlo, you have the microphone. Are you okay to go forward? Okay.
Yes, it's okay.
For the rest of the board, on Uni, are you okay or not?
Okay for Nokia, yes.
Okay. Luis?
Yes, okay. Telephone.
Nicoletta?
Yeah, okay for me as well.
Norbert?
Yes. Okay.
Vuk left us, but we've got the quorum. Orange is okay also to support this proposal. Congratulations. We had a tough agenda for today. Many thanks for our different work group leaders to be so sympathetic so we can manage all the content. For the future TSC, we will try to stay with only one focus session because I think it's very complicated to be so quick and to manage so many topics. So thanks all for your contribution also and for giving feedbacks and progress. I think we are progressing a lot. And at NetworkX event, you can see that this project is very now visible in the telco world. Not only the telco world. I am referring to the comments of Luis because we want also to reach edge and IT use cases.
Yes.
It's important for us. And it was at the beginning of the purpose of the project, so we have still this in mind. Okay, have a nice week, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks.